Okay, let's go talk about a few things outside. However, first, if you're going to get gas, 5-gallon buckets, 5-gallon whatever, for the generator or for any of the things that we use, I always put in, regardless of what it's being used for, because it doesn't make a difference, 2-cycle oil. And it'll tell you on there, most of the time, what this is good. This is good for 5 gallons. It says it right there, good for 5 gallons. I have a couple of smaller ones that are good for 1 gallon. Alright, but you know, if you need 1 gallon, you put one in it. But most of the time I buy it. The brand doesn't make too much of a difference. You can shop price, but 5 gallons for one of these. Alright. Every now and then I'll put a shot glass of mystery oil in it before I fill it, meaning the 5-gallon drum of gas. And again, every now and then I'll put a shot of this in it. Now, does all this have to be done? No. To me, though, it helps keep everything clean. The injector is clean and everything. But it doesn't need to be done. The most important thing to be done is put one of those containers into every 5 gallons. That's good for 5 gallons. Because that'll work in your lawnmower, the weed whackers, the chainsaws, your car, the power washer. You know, even though your lawnmower and the power washer in your car don't need it, the weed whacker does and the chainsaws do. So for that reason, it can't hurt to have it in there, so I put it in everything so we don't have to keep things separated. So it makes life easy. So that's that. Do you need to use this? It's here. If you want to use it until it's gone, fine. Like I say, a shot glass of whatever, mystery oil, and this, it doesn't hurt, to a 5-gallon bucket of oil, gas, but you definitely have to use the other stuff with it, regardless or what. That always goes in. So, now, winterizing the power washer. I use regular antifreeze. You're always better off buying a regular gallon of pure antifreeze and mixing it yourself if you want to mix it 50-50. You can get 2 gallons for the price of 1. You buy 50-50, it's going to cost you the same amount if you buy 1 gallon of regular, and at that point you can put a mixture of water in it if you want, half 50-50 for half the price. Okay, first, you want to disconnect the hoses from everything. From this, from that, yeah, if I get the hoses out of the way, from this, and from this. This green hose will probably be connected to that. This striped hose or a black hose, this is a pressure line, will be connected to this because this is the out power. This is the output, this is the input. Water goes in here, comes out under pressure up here. So what you want to do is disconnect everything, all your hoses. It'd be a good idea to drain the hoses, but that would be entirely up to you as long as they're disconnected at this point. That's all I'm concerned about, as you can see. Then I got this little piece here that I made that screws into that, and this has to be open. So it has to be facing the hose. It travels with the hose, with the water. Okay, so that has to be open. I put this together with a funnel. You pour antifreeze in this thing with it not running, and it's going to burp. You know, it may bubble. You may have to lift it up and down a little bit, you know, like this, you know, to get some of that down in there. But once you get some of it in there, then you want to start it. Once you start it, start pouring antifreeze into that. And you can use a 50-50 mixture, so don't worry about it. You can dilute it 50-50. Start pouring antifreeze into that. When you start to see it come out here, under pressure, it's not going to come out like a hose. It's going to come out like a hose with a nozzle on it. So make sure that there's no puppies over here. Make sure the boys are clear from over here. All right? And when you start seeing it blow out over here, shut the gas off, and I'll show you in a minute, and let it run until it runs out of gas, and continue to pour in there until it shuts off. And I mean drizzle, you know, stop every now and then, stop every now and then, you know, and then that's it. Then this will shut off, and when it shuts off, you're done. Here's the gas off, there's the gas on. If it's been sitting, you want to turn the gas on. You want to put the choke all the way over. You're going to have to pull it a few times. Make sure you're clear so you have plenty of room so you don't bang your hand on anything. And then once it starts, bring the choke down to halfway. Bring it down all the way. And then at that point, you can start doing what you're doing. Now, to shut it off, just turn the gas off. And let it run until it runs out. Now, it's going to have gas in here. It's not going to run out here. But it's going to run out of the system. So therefore, there's no gas in the system to build up and varnish all your lines up. So it'll last a lot longer and be easier to start next year when you do that. So that's basically how that works. And then, put it in that shed. Now, I do that with everything. Not winterizing, I mean, but that's the only thing you really have to winterize because that has water going through it. When it comes to the generators, if I start a generator, this one's got marks on it so you know how to do it. It's got writing up here with arrows to kind of tell you. But what you do is you come down here, you pull out the choke. And then there's a gas cock down here. You turn the gas on, which means you push it down. You give it a couple good yanks, it'll start. However, you want to make sure that this is not on stop. You want it on top part, run. And that's basically it. So after a couple good yanks, to get the fuel back into the system, usually the third yank it'll start up. And at that point, what you do is slowly push the choke in. If it stays running, fine. If not, pull the choke out a little bit, do it again. Now, when you shut it off, I don't just hit the switch and shut it off, because that will shut it off. So if this thing accidentally stops and you're near it, it's probably because you hit the switch. Anyway, ignore the train. That's a quarry train. So when you're ready to shut it off, all you do is you take this here and you take it from the on position that you already turned it on in. It's going to be in the off position when you start this. So you have to turn it on and pull the choke out. When you're ready to shut it off, the choke should be in, it should be running, you should have no problems. Just turn this up like that and let it run until it stops running. Again, that's burning all the fuel out of the carburetor and out of the fuel lines. There's still fuel in here. Now, it's a good idea. You don't have to drain the fuel, but it's a good idea to put fresh fuel in it, cap it off basically with fresh fuel. And it's a good idea to let it run maybe a half an hour a year. You know, during the summertime or spring or whatever, when you think you get a chance. Start it up, leave the door open. You don't want to get asphyxiated, or pull it outside, start it up, let it run, half hour or so, burn some fuel through it so you can put some fresh fuel into it, and then you're all set. So again, to start it up, make sure the switch is up, pull the choke out, put the gas cock down all the way, a couple yanks, it should start. Once it starts, gradually push the choke in. And if it starts to stall, you can gradually pull it out a little bit, but eventually you'll be able to push the choke in all the way within a minute, I'm sure, maybe sooner, and it'll be running. When it comes time to shut it off, all you got to do is turn that up and let it run out. Stop running. And again, if you run it enough so you can put at least a pint of gas in it, like I say, a half hour or so, just let it run, you know, and that's it. Chainsaws are a little different. You just prime them, start them up, pull the cord, they start, you turn them off, you turn them off. You don't let those run out of fuel. Weed whackers the same way, you just do it the same way. Lawnmower the same way. The generators and the power washers, even the big generator, you do it the same way. Turn the fuel off and let it do its thing. On the generator, it hasn't got a pull choke. I'm sorry, it hasn't got a lift lay like on the fuel. It's got a turn, so you have to open it all the way and then close it all the way. It does have a pull choke, but I'll show you that one too. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there. I got that door open only because I got to put the power washer in there. So now again, your lawnmowers, your weed whackers, your chainsaws, all you do is you start them. When you're done, you turn them off. With your generators, your power washer, you want to let it run out of fuel because you don't use it that often. So now let's go down here and show you. Basically, it's the same thing with the big generator. Same thing with the big generator. Okay, there's the gas there. See that little knob? You got to turn that. Let me hold this up a little bit. Okay, it turns. You open it up all the way. When you're done, close it all the way. Not super tight, just snug it tight. Choke is up there. So you're going to open this up. You're going to pull the choke out. And you're going to make sure this is on the run side. Or start, wherever it is. Here. Okay. So that's good right there. So this is open. Choke is out. This is your starter. It's like an ignition key, but without the key. You push that in, it'll start. All right, the choke will be out. It may putter. You may have to back and forth a little bit. You may have to get it running, and that's it. The big cord fits in here. The big black cord fits in there. It only goes in one way, as you can see. Don't force it. Put it in the way it's supposed to go in. Open the door. Take the cord. Open this box, plug it into that box. Leave this door open so it doesn't get super hot in there. You shouldn't have a problem with it. If you got to fuel it, shut it off using the switch, or pull the choke out, or turn the fuel. Basically, you should be able to just shut it off. And then open this up. It has a cordage, and it has a hook, so you can pull that down there to hold this open. Put your fuel, put your fuel in, close it down, disconnect, bring it back down over here. Now this used to be, oh, that's the charger controller, because we have a solar panel hooked up to the battery down there that I put on to keep this thing at a kind of a trickle charge, to keep that battery going. There's the main plug down there. That plugs in there. Now, if you're careful, which I would recommend not doing, you can fill this with it running. Just, take it easy. You don't want to spill it in it. So if you're using a little 1 gallon jug that you can handle comfortably, there's plenty of room in here to do it. But if not, like I said, this is not going to be an off switch. You're going to have to turn this off, turn the gas off, so it'll stop. And once it stops, you'll be all set. Then make sure you open it again. You won't have to choke it because it's already been running, and then start it up with the button. Now, if by chance it doesn't want to start, open this up. Get all this out of the way. There's another wire in there. Don't worry about it. That just feeds the battery. That's how it charges. Come on, afango. See, this comes off the charger, the solar panel. Goes up and it plugs in right there with those 2 plugs. I don't know if you're seeing them or not. There's a red and black plug there. Power, negative. They always have to go in the same way. They just unplug. but that's connected to the battery, and that's what keeps the battery trickle charged. So that gives you 12 volts output as well. So you have 12 volts either way. But meanwhile, you're not going to be able to do this. You got to find the carburetor, which is going to be over there, and you take some of that starter fluid. It doesn't necessarily have to be sprayed into the carburetor, as long as you can get it into the filter area or around the intake of the carburetor. Like on your air filter on the car, if you were to spray it on the part that comes input, you know, where the filter goes, it'll start. Well, the same here. If you were spraying it into the input side of the carburetor or the air filter, you know, a couple, it'll get it started for you. So, but you'll have to roll it out to do that. So it may be a good idea to get used to starting this. Set your phone to go off once a month and let it run for 10 minutes just to keep everything fresh. Fresh fuel is important. As far as the water goes, I'll do another video on that. And that's about where we're at this point. Now, all these antennas out here, I don't care what you do with them. You know, if you want to give them away with the radio, when you sell the radios, that's fine. The CB antenna, though, that's a $100 antenna. They really don't go bad. I wouldn't just give it away. I'm thinking it's got to be worth at least 50 bucks to somebody. I wouldn't, just like I say, give it away. That spotlight up there, I won't give that away. That's something that still works. If you need it, it's there. All these other antennas going up in the trees, all these wires, you can give that shit away. That tower, don't give it away. That tower's got to be worth at least 250 bucks if they take it down. And you know how we put it up, so you know how they can take it down. This tower, it's got to be worth 50, 75 bucks. Again, you know, if they take it down. And any antennas that are attached to it, don't worry about it. Let them have it. Now there is an antenna filter, not an SWR. There's an antenna tuner, that white thing over there, next to the camera. Alright, that's an H4 ICOM tuner. They're about 300 bucks. That is old. We had that on the boat. So, you know what? If you sell the ICOM 718, which I did a video on earlier, give them an extra 100 bucks, they can have that. You know, that type of thing. So, but don't let them think that everything goes with it. You know, oh, well, gee, the radio, the wire, and the antennas go with it. No. No, no, no. If I want to be generous, yes, but no. You know, because it didn't come with it when I bought it. Okay, so that's about it for some of that. And I'll continue making these. I may just put it on a large, or a small, rather, hard drive, so you'll have them all on one drive instead of having a bunch of thumb drives or a bunch of SD cards. So we'll work on that, and we'll take it from there.